listening to the Betmaker Show. This is the NFL Week 10 preview for Monday, November 4th, 2019. And now, live from Las Vegas, the host of the Betmaker Show, Brian Blessing.
All right, folks, here we go. One of our absolute favorite segments of the week, and that's the first look at the new numbers with our good friend, our world-class odds maker, Jack, checking in. Brian Blessing in Las Vegas. And, you know, it's one of those things, you're watching the games, you go, oh, yeah, home teams are doing well. And, you know, you wake up Monday morning, and we sit here, Jack, and look at the home teams. If you throw the neutral site game out, if you throw the Houston Jags game out, that's just a neutral site game. The home teams went 12-0 against the spread on the weekend. Yikes.
That shows you how oblivious I am to many things. I'm just focusing on a game, and until you pointed it out to me, I didn't even realize it.
It hasn't happened since.
How's this game going for us? How's that game going?
I know. Well, generally speaking, let's just start there. How was it for the book on the weekend?
Decent weekend. Not bad at all. And that's surprising with what you said and the fact that you think all those favorites, you think teasers would have been better, but the teasers didn't hurt us at all.
Well, I think the only thing that makes sense then is actually, and there were some home dogs that were winning the games outright.
Right.
And then you have the Monday night game. So I guess the Giants trying to keep the trend alive. We had seen Dallas pretty much locked down as a touchdown favorite, but on game day, 6.5s everywhere, totals 48.5. Does that jive with what you got?
Yes, sir. Completely.
All right. What do you do like with the Cowboys? They hit the skids. Yeah, they had some injuries. Then they show up and they maul the Eagles. Then the Eagles come back and they have a good effort. Is that the real rub here? I mean, I know football's been around for a long time. It's just, it seems to me the inconsistency of some of these teams have great outings and then are complete no-shows week to week, man. You shake your head a little bit.
I think it's like the law of probability. Everything comes back to averages. You have your good games, you have your 450-yard games, and you offset it with a 250, and the 450 stays in your mind, but if you average it out over the space of 4 or 5 games, they're in that range of 355 yards, give or take.
All right, sir. Let's look ahead. This is what we love to do with you. And the Thursday night game is pretty compelling, an AFC East game with the Chargers at Oakland. The Chargers, lucky to beat the Bears, then come back with a terrific effort against the Packers. The Raiders didn't know where they lived. They were gone for 6 weeks or whatever it was. They come home and they beat the Lions. It's a pretty compelling matchup. What was the thought process on the weekend for what you were looking here, and then as a result of what you witnessed, the belief now?
Well, we opened Oakland 2.5 and 47.5. It currently sits with us at 1, the dog a little money, and 48.5. I see pick mostly 1 on top, dog money. It's an interesting game. I was semi-impressed with Oakland yesterday. They had to make that goal line stand at the end. It was Detroit put up a lot of yardage on them, but Detroit's a good offensive team. Defensively, Oakland did what they had to do against the Detroit defense. The Chargers were magnificent in that win over Green Bay, but I'm not willing to sell out on one game, so I think Oakland is the deserved favorite here.
You know, if you look, though, in terms of current form, if you say, I think why it's pretty compelling is that the Chargers, with Gordon back in a football groove now after the long holdout, it seems like the Chargers' offense is on the improve, and the Raiders, the rookie running back is starting to go haywire. They've added a couple of wide receivers, and if Carr doesn't do something stupid, it seems like both offenses are trending up.
It does. I think they are. If you look at the yardage they put up the last few weeks, it was pretty good. The points were all right. I think the Chargers were a little lucky the week before when they beat the Bears, and we talked about that last week. But Oakland easily could have defeated Houston in their previous game. They held on against Detroit, and I think they have to be the favorite at home. That's just an opinion.
All right, so we move on to KC and Tennessee. And this isn't on the board a lot of places. Wait to see what the deal is with Mahomes. I will say, you know, Matt Moore is showing you this guy's a solid veteran NFL quarterback that's got a lot of weapons at his disposal. The one thing is, if the Chiefs can't ever get a running game going, it makes any quarterback lethal.
It does, and not to insult Matt Moore, but he was no more than pedestrian with all his previous teams. Now, he's played well the last 2 games with Kansas City, and as you just pointed out, I think it's the weapons he has at his disposal. I think it's the Andy Reid offense, what he has there. And on this game, we had the Chiefs, Mahomes in, we have the Chiefs 6-51, out, pick them up, and 48. So we basically a 6-point difference between him and Mahomes.
You know, the funny thing is, you think of Tennessee, those AFC South teams, kind of a backyard brawl. And all of a sudden, you look at Tennessee, though, since Tannehill got there, their offense has awakened to the point where they're serviceable. But correlated along with that, the offense is playing a lot better. But Tennessee's defense can't stop anybody when they knew they couldn't afford any mistakes before Tannehill got here. It's amazing. Maybe you fix one problem and another one arose. They played 3 games straight in a row, Jack, over the total.
Yeah, it's an astute observation on your part. It is an oddity. When they needed defense, they had it, and they had no offense. And now, as you said, they're putting up. Last week, they put up 431 yards, I think, on offense. 403 2 weeks ago, and now, but they're giving up 370, 389, 365. It's an anomaly, which is difficult to explain. Perhaps because they go up, perhaps because the other team doesn't possess the ball that long and is moving up and down the field. I don't know what attributes to it, but with this game, we opened, as I said, it'd be a 6-point difference with Mahomes in or out, and I think Kansas City's a favorite. I would have it more like a 4-point difference. I would have it 2 or 6.
All right, sir. Let's move to Buffalo and Cleveland, and this is really bizarre here. I'm curious what the number was. I envision it was at least 3, maybe before the weekend. Buffalo gets by Washington. Pretty pedestrian effort against a rookie quarterback. Bottom line is win, advance, get out of Dodge. And Cleveland is an absolute gong show, Jack. I mean, in terms of hanging a number this week and what you're thinking, the one thing with the Browns, they just seem like a dysfunctional mess that they could either be mad and circle the wagons and have a great game, or these guys are an inch away from running for the bus. I don't know which one it is.
I think it's they have the good game. We opened this game up 3 and 42.5. Currently, we have a 2.5 minus 15 and 41 under 15. Cleveland, they missed 2 big 4th-down plays yesterday, which they're big favorites to make. And if they do, it's a different outcome in the game. But they turned the ball over too much. They missed a few tackles on that long touchdown run by the receiver. Buffalo has had such an easy schedule the last 4 weeks. It's unbelievable. They beat Washington at home. They beat Miami at home. They played Philadelphia, and they were at Tennessee. So they won 3 of the 4 against an easy schedule, lost to the top-rated team on there, and I think they'll have their hands full. I think Cleveland, as you said, one of the 2, I think they play a good game and beat Buffalo.
Arizona and Tampa Bay, the total's what intrigues me here, Jack, to see something in the low 50s, or actually maybe it may even approach mid-50s. Crazy thing is, I know you shake your head when you're hanging numbers like this. Yeah, at first blush, I'm looking at it, and it may be low because Tampa can go up and down the field, and then there are times where, Winston treats it like a grenade in his own end of the field, and it's points galore anytime Tampa takes the field.
It is, and in this game, we opened Tampa Bay 6 and 54. We currently sit at 4 and 53. Tampa Bay has the edge offensively and defensively. However, the big thing with Arizona is they haven't gone crazy with yardage recently, but they haven't committed turnovers. They have no turnovers in their last 4 games. And I think that'll be the undoing for Tampa Bay. I think that's why the game was bet down. I think Tampa Bay will have more turnovers, and therefore Arizona covers.
By the way, Tampa Bay on a 6-week run of games going over the total. Just as an odds-making question, Jack, how much do you guys actually take something like this into account? Where, I get it, every game is a snowflake. But at the beginning of the season, you got a blank slate. It'll be great for the house. The goal is for every team to be 8-8 against the spread and 8-8 over and under. And when you see a team like that that's on a dead overrun and the public starts to pay attention to that stuff, how much of a shade goes into it before you even hang it?
Well, everything is based off what they're doing during the year. And I think right now, over the last 4 games or so, Tampa Bay's probably averaging close to 50 points a game, which is probably a touchdown above, give or take, around a touchdown above the average. So, depending upon their opponent, now Arizona's been going over also. I think that's why this game opened 54. I don't see it dropping too much, but generally there's smart money under any number in the 50s or higher.
And then the next one, for the faint of heart, the Giants and the Jets are going to play a football game. Tell me what you were thinking, what you hung, and then what you think how quick the reaction will be pending how the Giants play on Monday night against the Cowboys. There's a lot going on here in a goofy game.
On Saturday, we opened this game at pick and 41. When we took it down Sunday morning, the Jets were pick minus 15 and 42 over 15. The Jets, I think when this goes back up, the Giants are going to have to be 2.5, 3-point favorite unless they really lay a bomb tonight. I mean, Jets going down to Miami and losing. We pointed that out as one of the games that Miami could win. They took advantage of it. And again, Fitzpatrick played a good game against one of his old teams, but he has a lot of old teams. We know that for sure.
Hey, I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, in the battle of the young quarterbacks, I guess that's the other Rubik's Cube, right? One week to the next, the inconsistency of young quarterbacks, and you get 2 of them here.
He is, and that's one of the reasons I pointed out Arizona before. The fact that they have a rookie quarterback starting with no turnovers in at least his last 4 games. Maybe longer than that. That's amazing to me. Now with the Giants, Jones is he plays well, but he turns the ball over a lot. And with the Jets, Darno he has some experience, but right now he's nothing special.
Let's make some money tonight.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website at betmaker.com. I would find this next one pretty compelling because there's a lot going on in terms of what you guys would have to discuss before hanging this number, and that's Atlanta and New Orleans. They're coming off a bye here, both of them, and Atlanta likely gets Matt Ryan back, and New Orleans had Breeze back, and he looked amazing off the layoff with the thumb injury, and they may actually get Kamara back, and I'm wondering if there's that kind of thing going on here, like we mentioned with Tennessee. You know, but when they had to play defense because they knew their offense couldn't do anything, they played defense. Now their offense is good and they can't play defense. New Orleans was, playing like the 85 Bears because they were terrified what was going on at the quarterback position. Now Breeze is back. The crazy thing, and these teams historically play track meet games, and it's usually the team that has the ball last wins the game, usually.
That's been the history in this series. This is a tough spot. Atlanta's coming off a bye. That's a bonus for them. They get Ryan back. That's a bonus, although Schwab played very well 2 weeks ago. As you said, the Saints have Breeze back. And when he did come back in game 1, they played a good defensive game against Arizona. So I would anticipate no letdown with their defense. We opened New Orleans 13-50, currently 12.5 and 51.5. And the only reason I can see for them betting it down is the fact that, as you said, it's normally a tough fight, an in-division game, and that's probably the reason to take a lot of points.
The real question here, Baltimore at Cincinnati, is does Baltimore remain focused on this game after playing so well against the Patriots?
There'll be a little letdown, but I think that's almost in the number. I think if they lost that game or had blown it somehow, that they might have been in the 13-point range. I think it's cut down. We opened the game 10-46. We went up this morning at 10.5, dog 15, and 47. Baltimore is playing a team. Cincinnati is going to start Ryan Finley at quarterback. It'll be his debut. AJ Green is a possible return. Andy Dalton being benched, I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, he's mediocre at best. Perhaps they give this kid a chance, but I don't know. First start against Baltimore, who's really amping it up. I think it has to be go the Baltimore way.
Hey, it was a football game, but let's cut to the chase here. The Baltimore-New England game. It's 17-0, and the kid fumbles the punt. For the Ravens, you going, really? Are you kidding me? And then the Patriots score. Then Ingram fumbles. Patriots score. I mean, Baltimore was taking them to the woodshed, and the Patriots made it interesting, but then Baltimore regrouped. And my question then, the Pats are on a bye, so they're going to be gone for a while. But they are now indeed facing a kind of a little 5-game gauntlet of quality teams where they had a very easy schedule. The result on Sunday night, Jack, is it more an upgrade in the belief of what Baltimore is, or the reaction of what are the Patriots now that they played a quality team, and their offense does seem to have some limitations here, and the defense finally showed some chinks in the armor. How do you treat the Patriots when they come back?
Well, you have to downgrade it a little. I mean, they were a favorite. They got blown out by 17. I'd say maybe taking a couple points off them. It's possible they were undefeated and looking forward to the bye week. Mm-hmm. I can't believe Belichick would let them overlook a team of Baltimore's quality, or maybe that's just a bad game that had to come up. But they'd have to downgrade them a little. It's a combination. Raise Baltimore up a few points, which is what we talked about before with the Cincinnati game. I think that's what I would have raised that. But I think New England will come back strong in this game. But I think they're playing Philadelphia after, and they'll both be off a bye week.
All right, Jack, let's move on to Carolina, Green Bay. And the Packers, hey, listen, they were on a dead run. They had a heater going on, and they kind of walked into a buzzsaw against the Chargers. And just they had a bad day. Now taking on Carolina at home. How do you treat this one?
Carolina and Green Bay. We opened Green Bay 6 and 48. It's now 5.5, dog 15 and 49. Carolina, offensively and defensively, is not the key. They're pretty even. They've been getting so many more turnovers. In their last 4 games, Carolina is plus 9 turnovers, I believe. That's a humongous number where Green Bay is broken even. I think Carolina is the right side of this game, and I think that's why it's coming down. I think it could get as low as 4.5.
McCaffrey's an incredible weapon. I mean, and he gives them an opportunity in every game.
And this Green Bay defense is nothing spectacular.
Yeah. All right, Detroit and Chicago. I don't know, man. This Bears offense is a train wreck, and the Lions are. I don't know what do you do with this football team. I think they're a decent, if not even better than decent football team that is just cursed. And a lot of it's of their own making, but they're, I think, way better than their record indicates.
Well, I think, what are they, 3-4-1 right now? I mean, if you look at the games they've lost, they lost a very tough game to Green Bay. They lost a game yesterday where they're down on the goal line a couple yards away. They blew an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter against Arizona. They blew the game to Kansas City that they easily could have won. Yeah, I would have to say, I think they're a 500 ball club at least, and their record should probably be reversed at least at 4-3-1. So, but Chicago, on the other hand, has sitting at 3-5, showing no offense, and they're trying to. They have to do one of two things. They either have to let Trubisky play like a regular quarterback with all the pressure, or they have to make a quarterback change. They can't hold in the reins and try and let their defense just keep it close. You got it one way or the other. Fish or cut bait.
All right, Miami and Indy, another one with a lot of questions here. The heat is off. Miami gets a win, and that was in doubt. So, it's weird to say this, Miami potentially in a letdown spot. But Indy, again, Vinatieri lets them down. Brissett gets injured. Hoyer comes in and looks perfectly fine. So the question is, how much of a drop-off in your estimation is it from Brissett down to Hoyer, or is it nominal?
I would say maybe 1.5, 2 points. Only basically because it's been a while since Hoyer started at quarterback. He came in off the bench yesterday, played reasonably well, threw one interception for a touchdown. Brissett has had the team all year, and I think they've basically overachieved from what everybody expected from them. Now, this is an interesting game. Before Sunday, we opened this game at 16-44 off Miami's performance against the Jets and off Indianapolis put up a fine game in Pittsburgh, but with the quarterback question mark, This game has been bet down to 11.5 and 42.5. And I can see their point. Miami, the last few weeks, they went into Buffalo and gave them a tough time. They barely lost to the Skins, which that's no big deal. Losing to Washington is a big deal. But just keeping it close.
Fitzpatrick gives him a puncher's chance, right?
Does.
I mean, he plays a good game, a really good game every once in a while, and then he is who he is. But he gives them a chance.
It is, and I think that's the reason they're taking these points. I don't think you see much movement. And after this, if they say Brissett's back in, maybe it goes to 12.5. If they announce for sure he's out, it might go to 10.5. And they'll just go. Miami's trending towards covering, so we'll see what happens.
This is intriguing here. With the Rams coming off a bye at a very underachieving first half of the season, and you'll see if maybe they get the reboot, helps them be what everybody expects them to be, but there have been defined chinks in the armor. I would say this, if Tomlin, people would give this guy grief a lot of times. He's doing a hell of a job with his team, and they're 4-4, and actually moderately back in the discussion that, hey, they see some light at the end of the tunnel, that they're in the wild card hunt. Pittsburgh's actually playing hard.
They are. He has been playing very hard. And if I tell you a year ago that I'm going to take away Bell, Antonio Brown, and Roethlisberger, where do you think this team's going to sit after 8 games next year? I think you'd be mildly surprised to see him sitting at 4-4. And they're at the Rams. So we opened up the Rams at 3 and 45.5. Currently, the Rams are 4 15 and 44.5 under 15. And I wouldn't count Pittsburgh out of this one. Mason Rudolph, I just wish he were more mobile. I mean, he does his best to stay in there and imitate Roethlisberger, but he can't quite shake off the defenders like he does. Goff is not the most mobile either. I think it's a tough game, and I think 4 may be a little too much.
Well, and they got away with murder. You said the lack of mobility. He's back there in his own end zone, and you're going, throw it. What are you doing? Yeah. He's just standing holding. And they were lucky. It's a safety, not a touchdown, or that's a different result.
Right. I mean, Pittsburgh likes him, and I see him. He throws the deep. He throws a lot of good passes. It's just a question of him maturing and getting used to having the reins to run this team.
Minnesota loses a real tough game at Kansas City. And the bottom line is, Jack, I mean, they've got a running game. Cousins on the road, can be a little sketchy. It would be a big plus for them, although I'd be pretty concerned. Thielen comes back from a hamstring. I don't even know if he made 5 plays, and he was out again. And then we got to see what the Cowboys do. But they have to play Monday night, a little bit of a shorter week. It looks like the consensus is Dallas a 3-point favorite. Let the market decide.
We opened Dallas 2.5 and 45.5. When we took it down, it was 2.5 minus 15. There are basically 3s out there. Total was up to 47. I think Thielen being back or being capable would be at least a point one way or the other, depending on his status in or out. Dallas's performance tonight, even if they blow the Giants out, it can't increase that much. Minnesota was a little disappointing yesterday with the yardage they put up at Kansas City. You saw what Green Bay did to them the week before. Now, I can't put it all on Thielen missing, but it's an important factor. But this game, I think it goes back to 3 and just hangs there for the rest of the week.
All right, and let's wrap it up, Jack, with a pretty intriguing game in the NFC West. Seattle at San Francisco. Seattle finds a way, keep winning. 2 games back. I mean, the big story is you get the weight of expectations. Pressure mounts when you're an unbeaten team, the deeper and deeper you get. And, for Seattle, I mean, it's at least their chance to say, not so fast, but maybe the Niners are indeed that good. Interesting game.
We opened San Francisco 6.5 and 44. Currently it's 6 dog money and 45 over 15. Very, like you say, it's a tough game. I think Seattle's been fortunate. I really don't think they're as good as 6-2. I think Wilson has played perhaps his best year of his whole career. Their defense has a lot of question marks. If Garoppolo can exploit that, I know the San Francisco defense will be much tougher on Seattle than Tampa Bay was. So I think this game goes back to 6.5 before game time.
And one final question for you, Jack. Just generally speaking, like for argument's sake, the Monday night game, although it's an eon ago, it was opening week and it was Manning at quarterback. So maybe it's a horrible example, but we're to the point of the season now where you're going to see a lot of rematches, right? Same team, second time around. How much stock do you generally put in the first game, or not much?
I put more stock in the closing line than in the result of the game. In that case, I think the Dallas was approximately a 7-point favorite, and they beat them 35-17. The Giants actually put up some yardage. They put up 470 yards on offense with Manning at quarterback, but it wasn't long before he was out of there. And now what changes this is the fact that Manning is out. It's a somewhat different team. I think Barkley played that entire game and had a good game against Dallas. Now he's back and healthy. So, I would say it's more the closing number than the final result of the game.
Yeah, no, that's intriguing. And forgive me, because I think, the change of quarterback and everything, that was maybe a horrible game to pick. But we're going to see all these divisions now in teams cycle back through. But it sounds to me like that's a guy, talking from years of experience, that sounds like the betting public, you look at the number and where the money came from in the first matchup, and it sounds to me, am I assuming this correctly, that over the years, more often than not, that's a trend that would come into play in the next game?
Yes, I would say yes, it would be. I mean, if you go back historically, I think like Seattle, San Francisco is a good example. Their first meeting this year, but historically, Seattle plays them well. Even when Harbaugh was there and they were championship teams, Seattle had the Legion of Doom at that time, and they always played them tough. So I think that's a little factor. So if you think a game is 7, it's 6.5 or 6.
Outstanding information as always. He's our go-to source for the opening numbers in the NFL. Jack, we always appreciate your time on Mondays to jumpstart our week. I hope you have a great week, and we look forward to talking to you again next Monday.
You too, and thank you very much.
Betmaker, let's make some money tonight.
Well, that's the Betmaker Show for now. We publish multiple times each week. We'd like to thank you for listening, and if you liked what you heard, please take a moment to leave a rating and review, or subscribe to our show feed, or share our show with a friend or two and help us grow the show. We very much appreciate it. Visit us on the web at betmaker.com, and reminder to sign up for the newsletter. Thanks to our engineer, Darren Vandermolen, and producer, Mike Gallivan. The Betmaker Show is a production of Cardinal Marketing Incorporated. Betmaker is a registered trademark. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this content without the express written consent of Cardinal Marketing Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
The handicapping and sports odds information contained on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm the wagering regulations in your jurisdiction, as they vary from state to state, province to province, and country to country. Using this information to contravene any law or statute is prohibited. The podcast is not associated with, nor is it endorsed by any professional or collegiate league, association, or team. This podcast does not target and is not intended for an audience under the age of 18. If you think that you have a gambling addiction, stop this podcast now and please seek help.
Gambling and betting on sports is a form of entertainment and should be about having a good time. But when done excessively, it may negatively affect other areas of a person's life, such as their physical and mental health, school or work performance, finances, and or interpersonal relationships. At betmaker.com and the Betmaker Show, we're concerned about the addiction that gambling may cause, and for this reason, we encourage everyone to practice responsible gambling. An approach to gambling that helps you ensure that it remains an enjoyable activity. Here are the main principles of responsible gambling. Don't think of gambling as a way to make money. Always gamble with money that you can afford to lose. Set limits and stick to them. Never chase losses. Don't gamble when you're depressed or upset, and create a healthy balance. Always be aware of how much time you spend gambling or thinking about gambling. And do not allow gambling to cause you to miss out on time with family and friends or time spent on other activities you enjoy. By following these guidelines, gambling can be a good time and great entertainment. If you feel at any time that your gambling is taking away from important areas of your life, is causing you stress or depression, or is leading to financial losses that are beyond your control, please reach out for help. Learn more at responsiblegambling.org.